I hope you guys are doing well. I'm here with Mr. E. We are driving to a funeral, and that prompted me to talk about this topic. You know, we are expats. Some of us, we are very far from home, and some of us are not too far from home, but we are in a foreign land. That's why we are called expatriates, because we are outside of our countries. And one of the things that a lot of us, I shouldn't say a lot of us, but something that we always have to keep in mind is that tragic things can happen. Tragic things like death within the family that's here. I'm not talking about the family you left back home. I'm talking about your family here. If something happens, what do you need to do in order to, to make sure that everything goes smoothly? The biggest issue for a lot of us is we don't make plans, and I don't even mean just financial plans. Yes, financial plans are the number one thing you're supposed to do when you are an expat, to make sure that if something tragic were to happen, you'll be in a position to, to take care of things. But other things beyond the finances are, where do you want to be buried? Do you have a plan for that? Do you understand what I'm saying? Because I've been in America for 21 years now. I'm from South Africa, for those who don't know. And there were years that I thought deeply about, what would I want to happen if, something were to happen. Would I want to be buried in South Africa, or would I be okay being buried here? Ultimately, it really doesn't matter to me because I'll be dead, but ultimately I would want my wishes to be carried out. But the biggest challenge for us as expats is that our children are in a foreign land, or our families, we are in a foreign land. I can imagine a scenario where I decide I want to be buried in America because my children grew up here, they were born here, they lived here, we've lived most of our lives here, and therefore I would want, if they start establishing their lives in, in America, then it would make sense that I would want to be in this, country. So if they wanted to visit my grave, that type of thing, they could. But the biggest challenge is, what if your children decide, just like you, to go and live in Australia, and then they start establishing their lives, and now here you stuck in America with no one to visit you. He's laughing right now. With no one to visit you. Okay, it's not like you're gonna know anything like that. Yeah, but you're an ancestor. We believe in ancestors, and we believe our spirits don't die, and we believe we can see things beyond grave. That's our belief as Africans, and so it's one of those difficult things, to be honest with you. So I spoke with some of my friends about this because it's a big challenge. Sorry, my arm is getting sore. It's a big challenge because just the scenario that I just painted, when your children move away and now you're left in a foreign land, and not only that, then you have to think about what other things can you do to, to overcome that, right? In our culture, we don't believe in cremation. We believe that you are supposed to be buried. If you really come to think about it, I don't know which is more beneficial to the land, you being buried or being cremated and being put underground. I don't know. So, but anyway, I would think that part of why Africa is so rich is because there's so many organic, stuff buried under there, but that's another point. But the point I was going to make is that, so cremation seems to be the only solution where then your children could just divide your ashes and, do whatever they want to do with them and take them with them, that kind of thing. But in our culture, in South Africa, so if you know my channel, I've shown you my mother grandmother's home in the countryside, and every time I go and visit home, I can go and visit my grandparents' graves, and I can go and visit my, cousins, uncles, family members that have passed on while I've been gone. And that's something that I think is beautiful. And but in my scenario, it might be very difficult, because if I'm gone, my parents are gone, our parents are gone, and I'm gone. There may not be an incentive for our children to go and visit South Africa, or as often as they would like, because there's no one there other than our bodies, and that might not be an incentive enough for them to go and visit. So it's a big challenge. I don't know how, if you are an expat and you have some sort of a will that you've written, and how did you handle this? Because for me, this is my ideal that I would like to see happen. I would like to have my own land in South Africa, the same way that my parents, who moved to Cape Town, built, they made sure that in the countryside they had homes in the countryside, and that's where they will be buried. And so I like that as an idea, because it's got such a history, number one, and number two, that is home. That's where home is. And so I think establishing that for our children and saying, okay, home is South Africa, no matter where you are in the world. And I always want you to know that home is South Africa. And so we will find a family, land, and be buried there. And then you guys will always know that that's your home. But it's obviously a challenge, because if they do get married to other people who don't have that sense of connection to that, then it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge for them, even if you do leave that in your will. Do you see what I'm saying? But ultimately, and I was gonna say, since I've been here in America, I've gone to a few funerals of expats. And sorry, I look serious, but I'm not that serious. I've gone to a few funerals of expats. One, which was very tragic. Her family came from South Africa and picked her up. And she actually passed away with her daughter at the same time. So they picked her up. The family was well off enough that they could afford to fly to America and pick her body up and take her back home. Another one was buried here. We had just moved. Remember him, right? I'm not gonna use their names, because I don't want them, one day to see this, and So, but anyway, one of them was buried here, and trying to think who else. We haven't been. We've been very fortunate in that sense, because we haven't been to a lot of funerals. But at the same time, it's something that we have to think about, because not only does it put your family members in a predicament, because let's say if something were to happen to me or Eldon, both of us, we still work, we still have jobs, and so the chances are that you will continue to work and try and build some sort of something. So then it becomes, and so if you take them to South Africa and bury them, that means you are really saying that I still want to have a very strong connection to South Africa, which then puts a challenge to your future generations in terms of in terms of not only your future generations, really your children, because they will be the only ones who have a say in that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's a very dicey thing. But what I would say is, ultimately, make sure you have at least a burial insurance. Okay, a burial insurance doesn't pay as much as life insurance, but it's cheaper, and everybody can at least afford to to have one. Not only just for yourself, but for every family member. I think you want to have that way, because there's always going to be cost, whether you do cremation or whatever. Just running up to that part, like to the funeral, there will be expenses that will be involved. So having a burial plan is good. If you don't have a burial plan, or you don't want a burial plan, you can have life insurance to make sure that your loved ones are not struggling in a foreign country. If you have children, if it's just you by yourself, maybe you don't need to worry too much about such things, because guess what, you'll be dead. So the state can do whatever the hell they want to do with your body. But ultimately, I think we all want to be respected, even in our death. And so I think it's important to have, like some sort of a financial thing that you have. The one advice I will give to expats is this. In America, you can get your life insurance through work, which I've done over the years, or you can get it like out there in the private sector. What I would suggest to you is get it in the private sector. Don't get it through your job, okay? And the reason being that when you leave your job, that insurance cuts off, and then that's the end of it, unless maybe there's a way for you to convert it so that you continue. But the younger you take your insurance, the better off you will be, because first of all, it won't be as expensive, and you can do a term life insurance where it's only, let's say it's gonna last you 20 years. And the reason why I'm saying term life insurance, because a lot of us, we have 401ks, we have some sort of savings that would kick in our retirement. So taking a term life insurance is probably better. It's cheaper, let's put it that way. But let's say you live to be 85 years and you took a 20-year term life insurance, and now you are 60 years old. So that could be a challenge. You could take another one that maybe pays out very little at that stage of your life, so that it's not too expensive, number one. And second of all, until you get to your retirement, so that at that point you will have money hopefully saved up, that if something happens, your family will be able to take care of you. So, but anyway, I didn't mean for this to go too long, but it's definitely something to think about. Not, leave it in the background, but actually take action to make sure you prepare for if something like that happens, because being flown home is very expensive. The preparations themselves are very expensive, and you may need to take care of some finances for your family as well afterwards. Okay, thank you, bye. Comment below and let me know what have you done. Maybe there's a better way out there, I don't know, but let me know if you have made plans and you've taken care of this, because some of us haven't, and that's a big challenge. Okay, bye, love you all, and Merry Christmas if this video comes out before Christmas. This year I'm excited. I'm making prime rib for the first time ever.